Hello, it's Kate again. This is part 2 of the wire bending exercises for beginner. If you're following along, you can get these. You can print your own paper. I've made them available at designerretainer.com, and you can click on the link for wire bending 101. So hopefully you guys have been practicing and getting better, maybe even better than me. But for those of you out there that wanted to see how I did these exercises myself, well, here it is. I have my 030 wire right here. I have my handy dandy bird beaks and my 3-prong. So we'll see how far we can get on these today. I don't want to make these too long. Of course, the further we go, the longer each one's going to take to make. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm just going to start with, I have my pin here, my little holder that I made with stone, embedded a pin head into it so that it is real handy when I bend retainers. Some people have been asking what it is. It's just a felt tip pin. So I can zoom in. Anyway, felt tip pin by Papermate, Flare or M. I don't know. You can get the non-toxic stuff because you're going to get it all over your fingers when you're done with the day. But it makes a great contrasting black mark that you can see. And when you're done with that mark, it just rubs off, so you don't have to worry about it lingering. I never did like the China markers. The tips were always, I never could keep them sharp enough. Alright, so I'm going to start on one end and work my way around. I'm going to line it up here, mark it. I'll just do this side with my bend. Notice I was on the inside of that mark because I marked right on the line, right on the corner, so I grabbed it on the inside of that mark and bent it so that the mark is the actual corner instead of right before the corner. Okay, check it back on the paper. We're good. I need to just open it up a little. Same thing. This time, I'm going to do it with my 3-prong. Here's the tricky part. See if I can show you all this. Alright. Okay. How to move the camera a little bit, or the aka iPhone, around a little bit so you can see this, because it's very important. Depending on where I grab it to bend it, I think I've already went over this in the last one, but I'll recap it. I don't want this angled in any way. Like, you want this wire parallel as if you have a piece of paper flat. Let's use this piece of paper flat on your pliers. See how that's perfectly level right there? If it is angled up, you're going to be out of the plane that you need. So you got to be very conscious of where your bend is. So I would bend this straight back. Oops, see, it's already moved. It'll move on you. So I'm going to grab my 3-prong. I'm going to put it right on the mark and bend. Snug up that bend a little bit. Make sure it's a good 90 degrees. Alright. Okay, back to the paper. Alright, I think we got our angles. Tighten them in a little bit. Make my mark where I want to cut it. There we go. I think it got a little bit of a bend to it. Okay, as you can tell, my wire has a little bit of a up bend to it. Can you see that? So I'm going to try to fix that real quick. Alright. To fix that, you might be able to tell. Yeah, you can tell. If I hold that corner, the front corner is coming down a little bit. So I'm going to hold this corner and bend this leg out some. There you go. Alright. Take a look at the flatness of it. We are good. Okay. Alright. On to this one. My hands are greasy. Sorry about that. If you ever need to put on lotion before you start wire bending, don't. I just put on some before I filmed this because I was bleaching some models, disinfecting some in bleaching water, and it always dries out my hands. So, just word of the wise: go lenient, especially you women folk, on the lotions before you start wire bending because the wires get really slick. Now, how am I going to attack this? There's two ways. You can either bend it and then cut the two ends, or do like I did on the other side and start on one end and bend it around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this circle first and get that right, and then cutting the two ends is a lot easier. So, I'm just going to bend it by hand. There we go. I'm going to get pretty close, and I'm going to take my 3-prong and work on it. So I'm going to raise the camera. Okay. Mark on this curve here. Now what you're wanting to do with a 3-prong is just barely squeeze it. Just barely squeeze it. I hope you can see that. I'm not going all the way. I'm just barely squeezing the plier. This is good practice for when you want to make those curves. And remember, this is ortho wire. This isn't a jewelry wire. I believe that's kind of dead soft. You bend it and it stays bent. This, you bend and it fights back a little bit. It's got a little spring to it, and that's where the retention part comes in for the retainers. Okay, so see what I did there? Okay, let's try it on the paper. Alright. Okay, so I'm a little off. I've made my curve a little too skinny. So, best way for me to fix this is to uncurve it. So I got it really pretty close, as you can tell. I just need to work on this side over here. See how that, I need this part to go out a little bit and then tuck the leg part back in. Alright. So I need this part to go out a little bit, and then the leg part to go in. Oh, I messed that up. I don't want you to see that. Yeah, I can already tell. There we go. So what I'm doing, I'm just kind of contouring, just by flipping the 3-prong over, and then back over. Sometimes y'all won't be able to see me make that flip, but if you ever hear it, you can probably hear it. See, I make the flip. I hold it one way, and just make the flip. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. So I apologize if you see the. So pay attention to the 3-prong. Sometimes you'll see it one way, sometimes you won't. I'll make the flip off screen and don't even realize I'm doing it. Okay, back to the paper. Okay, I think I got the loop. Now it's raised up a little bit. As you can tell, I think I got it on there. Alright, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the ends, and then we'll check and see if it's flat. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, when I need to pick this up off the paper, sometimes it's hard to pinch it, so I'll roll it with my thumb and bring up that arm so I can grab it. Nope. I think I cut one leg too short or one leg too long. There we go. Make a few more adjustments. Alright, I think that's as close as I'm going to get. There's a little bit of a bow out. Check the flatness. Yeah, we're flat. Alright, now we got these two down pretty good. You guys practice. I'm going to end it here before we get started on this arch, which will take a little bit longer, and I'll introduce you to another plier. And I think we'll take an episode for each one of these, because they'll each take just as long. I don't want to make these too long. So download the exercise sheets if you haven't done so yet. Again, this is the beginner wire bending. This is part 2. There are 4 more of these sheets, and hopefully I'll be able to go through each of them. It's just going to take a little while. So practice, and I will see y'all next time.